Olivia's heart pounded the moment she heard the voice behind her. "Could you hurry up? Some of us actually have better places to be." The tone was so arrogant, it made her flinch. She turned around to see a tall woman in an impeccably tailored jacket, wearing diamond earrings that caught the fluorescent supermarket light. The woman's stare fell on Olivia's worn-out sneakers and then on the groceries in her cart. It was impossible to ignore the sneer curving on her red-painted lips. Olivia had planned to do a quick, no-fuss trip to this neighborhood store. She had a strict budget, so she clutched a small coupon booklet, double-checking prices before placing each item into her cart. Being a single mom was a constant balancing act of time, money, and exhaustion. By the time she reached the register, she was already shaky from lack of sleep. Her daughter, Mia, was waiting in a battered old sedan out in the parking lot, reading a library book because there wasn't enough in the budget for the phone upgrade Mia so desperately wanted. "Some of us can't wait all day." The well-dressed woman snapped again, rummaging in her designer handbag, as though the mere act of having to wait another 30 seconds might ruin her entire morning. Olivia's eyes flitted to the cashier, who was new to the job and still fumbling with coupons. She gave him a reassuring smile, trying to ease his clear anxiety. The last thing Olivia wanted was a scene. She had seen people like this woman before, sweeping in with an air of entitlement, too self-absorbed to realize their words could cut like knives. But the sharp tones still stung. Olivia could feel the heat rising in her face, embarrassment tangling with anger. It wasn't just about the inconvenience. It was the casual cruelty in the woman's voice. "Excuse me, ma'am. I'm almost done," Olivia managed, forcing politeness to mask her frustration. She felt small for a moment, painfully aware of her patched jeans and the few bills in her wallet. Meanwhile, the woman rolled her eyes and tapped her stiletto heel against the tiled floor. Inside, Olivia's mind buzzed. She didn't want to let someone's unkind words overshadow her morning. She had promised herself she'd handle life's hardships with grace. But that vow was hard to keep when a stranger openly mocked her, and she wasn't sure what was going to happen next. Olivia finalized her payment, carefully counting each coupon as the cashier slid them through the scanner. She felt relief when the register beeped, confirming the total matched the dwindling balance in her checking account. The well-dressed woman behind her huffed loudly, glancing pointedly at a sleek watch on her wrist. At that moment, Mia, Olivia's 7-year-old daughter, burst into the store with a look of alarm on her face. Mia's hair was tangled from the wind outside, and her eyes darted around before zeroing in on her mother. "Mom, the car. I think there's smoke coming from the engine." Her little voice trembled, and in that instant, Olivia's frustration with the rude woman melted into concern for Mia. She crouched down to calm her daughter. The fancy woman behind them made a disgusted face and muttered something about irresponsible parents, but Olivia was too worried to let the insult register fully. The cashier offered a sympathetic look. "Go see about your car," he said gently. "I'll hold your groceries until you're ready." "Thank you so much," Olivia breathed, grateful for his kindness. She grabbed Mia's hand and raced out to the parking lot. Sure enough, wisps of dark smoke curled from under the hood. Olivia opened it, only to be engulfed in a hot gust of air and the acrid smell of burnt metal. Her stomach sank. She didn't have the money for big repairs. Anxiety flared as she realized she might not even be able to drive home. Just then, the well-dressed woman swept past them, pushing a fancy cart loaded with organic produce and imported water. Her gaze flicked from Olivia's car to Mia's worried eyes, and then she laughed, a high, mirthless sound. "You people really can't do anything right, can you? Maybe you should stop buying junk food and start saving for a better car." Olivia felt her cheeks flame. She wanted to argue, to defend herself, to say something witty that would turn the tables. But all she could think about was what to do next. She couldn't leave the car in the lot forever, and she certainly couldn't afford a tow truck right now. Mia started to cry softly, and Olivia wrapped her arms around her daughter. Just when she felt like she couldn't possibly feel more humiliated, the woman's phone rang. The shrill sound sliced through the tension, and Olivia noted how the woman turned pale the moment she answered. Something was clearly wrong on the other end of the line. The woman stepped away, pressing the phone tight to her ear. Her disdainful posture collapsed into alarm. "Wait, you're telling me you can't make it?" Olivia overheard just a snippet of the frantic conversation. "I can't be stuck here." The woman clicked off the phone with a trembling hand, her face clouded in an uncharacteristic vulnerability. For a moment, she simply stood there, lips parted. It was as if the facade of polished arrogance had cracked. Olivia watched, torn between her own financial crisis and the sudden empathy stirring in her chest. She knew what it felt like to be stranded without options. Reluctantly, the woman approached. "Look, I'm sorry," she began, her voice lower than before. "My driver had an emergency. I'm out of state. The private car service just canceled, and my phone's rideshare app isn't working." She shot a glance at Olivia's car, still spewing the occasional puff of smoke. "I can't believe I'm asking this, but do you know anyone who could give me a ride? I need to get to the airport for a critical meeting." The irony wasn't lost on Olivia. This was the same person who'd been so quick to mock her just minutes ago. But she also sensed genuine panic in the woman's voice. Before she could formulate a response, the store manager emerged, having witnessed part of the exchange. He offered helpfully, "I can look up a local taxi service." "Oh, but that'll take ages," the woman muttered in dismay, scanning the empty lot. Then, she looked at Olivia again, this time with something resembling regret. "Look, I know I was rude. My morning's been horrible, but that's no excuse for how I treated you." Olivia inhaled slowly, aware that this moment was an opportunity to show Mia the power of grace. She nodded, even though she had every reason to refuse. "I can't drive you in my car," she admitted with a shaky exhale. "It's not safe, but I do know a family friend who might give you a lift if they're free." She glanced at Mia, "And maybe, just maybe, you can help me with the repairs if that friend comes through?" The woman hesitated, cheeks flushing. Yes, of course. If you help me make that flight, I'll cover the cost of your repairs." Her eyes flickered as though she couldn't believe she was saying these words. "Deal." Mia sniffled, still clutching her mother's hand. Olivia had no idea if the woman would keep her promise, but she called her friend anyway. Within 20 minutes, an old but serviceable pickup truck rumbled into the parking lot, driven by a neighbor who was more than happy to help. The woman climbed in, carefully tucking her expensive bag under one arm. She paused just before closing the door, catching Olivia's gaze with something genuine in her expression. "I'll send you the money for the repairs tonight. I promise," she said, handing Olivia her business card. Olivia smiled faintly, still half disbelieving. Yet as the pickup chugged away, she felt a peculiar sense of relief. Perhaps kindness, given freely, had the power to transform even the harshest of encounters. And in that unlikely moment, she realized she'd shown Mia that dignity, compassion, and understanding could matter far more than a stranger's cruel words. The end.